Hello everyone, in this video we will be learning how to bring the file paths within different directories to the memory so that the program can access to them. And before we head on, let's learn about a list method to allocate storage to the memory. So to name an identifier, you can write the identifier name, a list, followed by equal symbol and square brackets. And let's print out this A list. And if you look at the console, the result is the empty list because we haven't added any elements to A list. So to add an element to A list, you can call append function A list.append, and let's add number 2. And if you print A list, it will give a list with element number 2. And you can add another element by calling append function a list.append. This time let's add number 3 and run this. It will give 2, 3. And let's declare another list with a different name, e list, go square brackets, and this time let's initialize the list at the same time it is declared, and you can do that by putting elements within the square brackets. And let's add number 4 and 5 and print out the list to see the result. And here on the console it returns number 4 and 5 within a list, each element separated by comma. And now let's learn about a different method called extend. And let's look at what happens when we add a list. When we add a list to a list, a list.append, let's add a b list to a list, and the result will be 2, 3, and this b list being add a single element to a list will add b list itself 4, 5. So let's print a list to see the result. And if you look at the result, you can see that it returns 2, 3 and 4, 5 within list. And this time let's call extend function a list.extend the list, and let's print out the result, print a list, and print, let's to make it clear, let's write a list, and after a list, extend the list. This time the result will be like this: 2, 3, 4, 5. This was the earlier value of a list, and if after you have extended b list, then each element within b list is fetched, and each element is added to a list, like 4, 5. And what is different from the above append example is that when you added a list by calling append function, the list itself was added to the calling list as an element. However, if you call extend the list passed as an argument to the parameter of the extend function, the B-list is iterated through, and each element within B-list is added to the calling list, A-list. So let's look at the result. And after you have extended A-list with B-list, it gives the result 2, 3, 4, 5 within a list, and each element 4 separated by comma and 5, and what is same as I have written earlier here. So having learned about list, now let's go on to store bypass within a list. And let's declare a list identifier with the name all file path, and this is a list that we want to store all the file names that will be used for the training data. And if you go to the directory where my main program is, the working directory is C drive and prog file, prog folder. And rather than write this whole name, you can represent it with a symbol dot. And to list all the items within a directory, you can call list directory function from OS library, print os.list directory, and that it will list all the items within this directory in which this main program preprocess.py resides. So to use OS, you have to import OS, and let's run this. And if you look at the console, it returns the list containing of the items within the list, which are 2 directories, test set and train set and preprocess.py. And what we want to do here is that we want to get the file path within train set. And if you go into train set, there are 2 directories, cat and dog. If you go into the cat directory, there are images of cats, and if you go back, go into dog directory, there are images of dogs. And let's add full path to this all 5 path list. And to do that, firstly, let's declare a new directory, which is in train set folder. And let's go to train set, and if you call list directory, it will return a list containing these 2 directory names. So os.list directory, this time let's pass root directory as an argument and run this. Here you can see cat and dog as an element within the returned list. And let's store this within a list named items, and the returned list containing 2 directory names cat and dog is stored in this items list. And for each item, let's print item, and it will extract each directory name, directory name by directory name. So within this each directory, they've got files corresponding to that name, the images corresponding to dog and cat. So for the full path, you can use os.path.join. Path is os.path.join root directory, comma, and item. Then it will join these two directory and give the full path. Print path, comma, path. And let's look at the result and see here dot slash string set and backslash cat and dot slash string set backslash dog. And next we want to list all the files within each directory. So for file name in path, let's print each file name here, and I forgot colon. It should be followed by colon, and let's run again. Path itself is string, so it is not returning the file names within this directory. You have to use os.list directory path. Then it will return all the file names within the directories. And these are the file names of the directory in each cat and dog direct folders. And because we want to store the full path, let's declare a path. The name full path os.path.join and path, comma, file name. And let's add these elements within all file path list, all file path that append all path. And let's print out all path list, all file path. Then it will return a list containing of all the full paths within the dog and cat directories. And if you look at the console, the full paths are separated by comma. And if you want to look at the full path of each file name line by line, then you can fetch each element by writing for file path in all file path colon print file path, and let's run. See here on the console, we've got full path of the files of the cat and dogs images stored in different directories. And when we want to call this a function like this, like when we want to repeat this work again, then we have to write all these codes again. However, if we make these codes into a function, then we can call the function just one line rather than we write all these codes again. So let's make a function that returns all the full path of the file names within different directories. And let's name the function name as define get all files. And I'll comment this for now. And you can press Control plus 1. It is a shortcut to comment the code. So if you comment using Control and 1, it will comment all the code. And let's get this root directory because we want to use it again here. To uncomment, you can press Ctrl and 1 again, then it will uncomment the code. So the function name is get all files, and the parameter name is root colon, and because we want to return a list, let's name the list containing all the file paths of the file names to all file paths, and let's iterate through each directory of cat and dog. To do that, we have to return a list containing these two different directory names, dog and cat files. Let's name it as items. os.list os.list directory root, and to call this function you can call get all files and pass root directory as an argument. And let's comment it just for now. And for each item in items, the path should be joined with the root directory. Path is os.path.join root, item. And let's look at what the path is for now by calling get all files function. Let's run this. And here it returns train set cat and train set dog. And because cat and dog each folder is not a file name, so we want to call this get all files function again to list all the items within the directory, and we have to check if it is a directory, if os.path is directory path, and leave it just for now, and let's do what we have to do for the case when it is not a directory. That is when it's a file, then we want to add the full path to all file path list, all file path that append, and if the path was narrow directory, which is the full path of the file name, then we just add the path, and we want to return all file path list, and what we have to do when it is a directory, then we want to call this function again, and all file paths that extend, because when this function meets a file name which is not a directory, then it's gonna return a list. Then we want to add all the full paths of all the files within a directory, within a list, because what is returned is a list containing all the full paths of the file names. Then we want to extend and by get all files by passing directory path. So now this function is complete. So let's store what is returned from get all files within all file paths. And then let's print out all file paths and run it, see the result. Here you can see a list containing all the file names of we've separated by comma, and if you want to look at the path line by line, then let's print it out by writing for file in all file paths, print file path, and let's run this. Here, if you look at the result on the console, then it returns all the full path of all the images in for cat train set and cat directory and 77.jpg, and then down here you can see the full path of all the dog images in train set dog and followed by each file name. So whenever you want to call a function that returns a list of containing of all the full paths of all the files, then you can just call this one line rather than writing all the lines to get all the paths of the file images. So up to here, we have learned how to pre-process the files and extract the files stored within directories to memory, and how to store them within a list. So I'll finish up here, and thanks for listening. Bye.